What's up, everybody? Doc Dog 1985. There's levels to this. All right, guys, let me talk to you real quick. Just want to have this conversation. The Xbox Series S right now is under attack. You would think this would have died out already, but it's still going on. I still see people going live talking about it. You still see videos on it as well. Okay. I'm not a technical expert on any of this stuff, so I like to use common sense and look at things from the consumer perspective. Okay. In the beginning of this generation, I was very critical of the Xbox Series S. I used to come out and say how they pretty much lied. The way it was marketed was lied. And let me tell you how I understood the marketing from a consumer perspective, okay? If you wanted me to go and dig deep into the technical aspects of it, it wasn't my job as a consumer. So I'm going to let you know how it was marketed, okay? Or at least how I understood the marketing. And at that point, it's still Microsoft's fault because you should be clear with your message. Okay. Correct me if or not correct me if I'm wrong, but if you felt the same way that I felt, go ahead and leave a comment. Okay. I thought, I thought that the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S were going to be pretty much identical, except that the X was going to be running games at 4K 120 and 4K 60, while the S was going to be running games at 1440p 120 or 1080p 120 or 1440p 60, 1080p 60, and without ray tracing. Those were the only difference. The differences was going to be resolution and ray tracing. So if you didn't care about resolution that much or you didn't care about ray tracing, you go ahead and get yourself an Xbox Series S, but you're going to get to experience the same games on the X that the X has. One of those things was true, and that is that if you have an Xbox Series S, you can experience the same games that you can get on the Xbox Series X. That is true. That's not, you can't debate that. You can. However, no one mentioned 30 frames per second on the Xbox Series S. That wasn't a thing. Okay? And they made it seem as if 1440p was going to be the norm instead of the 1080p that is the norm on the Series S, which is the norm. 1080p is the norm. Okay? Okay. Regardless of that, though, the fact of the matter is that there hasn't been a game, just factual, that we can point to that can't run on the Xbox Series S or that doesn't look significantly better on the Xbox Series X or the PlayStation 5. So the problem with the Xbox Series S today being called a potato or being called saying that it's holding the console generation back, the problem with that is that this game that's being used for this Gotham Knights game or whatever, is running 30 frames on everything. It's running 30 frames per second on everything. The argument was that they want parity between the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. Supposedly, some developers said that. But we know that's not true. I've said this before in a previous video. We know that's not true because if you own an X and an S, you do know games run better on the X. That's not disputed. You can't even dispute that, okay? Okay. It's not even hidden. Some games don't even have a 120 hertz mode. Some games don't even have a performance mode on the X. I mean, on the S. You can't even toggle between them. Like, this is what you're getting, this is it. Okay, so it's not disputed. However, what this game is doing is the same mode across all the platforms, except for the S is running at 1080p. Now, giving credit to the S, apparently, the 30 frames per second on the Series S is at a much more stable frame rate than on the other consoles, which just blows my mind. That's incredible. But back to the common sense thing. DX is more powerful, the PS5 is more powerful. If games were just developed just developed to be able to run on those two SKUs, and they didn't have to worry about the SKU of the Xbox Series S, then I would I would believe that, okay, I could see how the Xbox Series S could possibly be holding back what you could do. However, even though those are the two major consoles, right? The Xbox Series X and the PS5 and the Xbox Series S, right? These games that are coming out are also coming out on PC, which have a larger SKU. And some people have PCs that are weaker than the Xbox Series S, and these games are still going to come out for that. And that's where, again, even though I'm not a technical expert, my common sense looks at this like it's BS. Looks like it's a BS. Unless you're going to tell me that these games from now on are only going to be able to run on a 2080 or better, right? Then I don't want to hear. Or what do you think these consoles are equivalent to? A 2060? What do you think? A 1080 Ti? What do you think these consoles are equivalent to? Whatever graphics card you think these consoles are equivalent to, if a game is made to run on a graphics card lower than that, then that's BS to say that it can't run on a Series S. Because whatever I can run on my 1660 Ti, ISO can run on his 3080 way better. But the game still runs on both systems. The game is not being held back because it has to run on my 1660 Ti for him to be able to run it on his 2080 Ti. Unless we go back to the days of Crisis where they didn't care whether or not you could run the game, you really actually needed a top-end graphics card, then we can talk. But until then, the Xbox Series S lied about a few things, but it's still holding up. We still got to keep an eye on it, though. We'll see what happens in the future. Doc Dog 1985. There's levels to this. We out. Peace.